Hello and welcome. My name's Angie Holden and I'm the blogger behind The Country Chic Cottage. Today I am going to show you how to install and I'm going to show you how to use the vacuum accessory for the PYD Life Sublimation Oven. Before we even get started, the only PYD Life oven that this will work on is the 25-liter oven. There's a smaller version and there's a larger version. This accessory kit does not work on those, so be sure you have the right oven before continuing. Now, what is the vacuum tray accessory and why would you need one? So the vacuum tray accessory creates pressure on odd-shaped surface items when used with your sublimation oven. Now, this is a common problem, right? So if you use a sublimation oven at all, you'll know that it's a common issue that you need to apply pressure around your item in order for it to sublimate correctly. Now, one way to do that is shrink wrap. However, that can be frustrating. Shrinking it down, getting it off can be a very frustrating process. This vacuum tray attempts to alleviate some of that frustration. Now, things like tumblers and things like that will not work with this vacuum tray. So it is limited on what you can put in it. So it does need to be something fairly flat, but it can have a curve. So the vacuum tray can go around curves, which is a huge benefit. Like, I've had tons of people ask me about curved surface items and sublimating them, and there really hasn't been a good way to do that until now. So you will be restricted on the types of items, the size of items. However, this can be a game changer for some items in sublimation. Now, I'm going to do an example project. I am going to sublimate some press-on fingernails in this video. That's going to be my example project for this tray. However, there are several different things that you can make. Inside of the vacuum tray, there's a book and it has a few examples for you. Some of the things that I'm excited about are plates, slate, because so many of you have trouble sublimating on slate, and also things like cell phone cases, but being able to sublimate the entire cell phone case, including around the edge and down the sides. So that's a few of the things that I'm excited about with this accessory and the reason I wanted to test it out. So I'm going to try one project in this video to show you how this works. And I want you to drop down in the comment section and tell me what else you would like to see me try with this so I can make future videos about it as well. So now we're going to take a look at the tray itself, how to use it. There's tons of pieces that come with it. You need to modify your oven slightly to make it work. However, don't let this be a scary experience. It's actually fairly easy to use once I really got into it. So don't be scared when I start mentioning power drills. It's definitely a fairly easy process. And once you've done it one time, have it attached to your oven, you are ready to go and make all kinds of projects. So first, let's take a look at everything that comes with the vacuum attachment for the PYD Life Sublimation Oven. Within the box, you'll get your vacuum tray as well as your mold base. Now, the mold base just sort of sets into the vacuum tray. The vacuum tray is sort of like a holder for it. There is also a piece of perforated paper. This will be for setup. Do not throw this piece away. And this piece of paper is actually used to drill a hole, and you do get the drill bit and an Allen wrench. However, you will need to supply your own drill. Then you get one large sealing cloth as well as two small ones. Again, be sure not to throw anything away. Some of this can look like packaging material. And then you do get a large silicone wrap, and this will have an edge around it. Then you'll also have some air hose tubing, a hose clamp, the suction device itself, some different rubber stoppers, as well as an air filter and a screwdriver. And then you also get the power base itself. Now, this does require an additional plug. It is attached to it. However, you'll need a plug-in for your oven as well as a plug-in for the power to operate the vacuum tray. Now, there are also some seal rings as well as a hole punch. Now, these are used for different types of projects that I'm going to do in this video. This vacuum tray is more versatile than I'm going to show. I'm going to show one project, but these are used for different types of projects, so don't throw them away even if you choose a simpler style project like I'm going to do in this video for your first project. This accessory does only work with the 25-liter oven. There's a smaller one and a larger one made by PYD Life, and it does not work with those. So I'm going to remove everything from the inside of the oven, shut the oven door. The oven is unplugged and off, and we are going to flip it around and make our hole in the back. So this is the back of the oven and that piece of paper, and the holes in the paper go over these two, and this will be your location to drill. So you just use a marker and mark that location. And it should be sort of in the center of one of these concave triangles here on the back, and that will help with the drilling. You'll then add the drill bit to the drill. Again, the drill itself is not included. Then go ahead and drill the hole into the back of the oven where you marked using the template. I did want to stop and note here that if at any time you don't want this to be a vacuum, there is plugs that come with this, and you would just put the plug into the hole, and it's just a regular sublimation oven at that point. You can remove it and change it back to a vacuum. So the plugs do come with the kit. Next up, you'll have the suction device, and there is a nut and one of these large black washers that go in the back. And then this piece is going to go through the oven itself. So I'm going to open the front oven door and push that piece through. It has another black washer on it, and push it through the hole. Then add that second black washer and add the nut and tighten that down. Then add the hose clamp to one of the air hoses. Add the air hose to this piece. And you do want to push it on all the way to the threads. Then push your hose clamp on. Then go ahead and use the screwdriver to tighten that down. So I made sure that that hose clamp was really tight. Then the hose that is coming out of the oven needs to connect to the hose that is with the small pump. And you do that with the filter. So we're going to put one side into this hose, and the other side goes into the second hose. And again, with these, you want to push them on just as far as you can to make sure they don't come off. Now, the vacuum itself is hooked up. Let's talk about this tray. First of all, there's going to be a zip tie around here. You just remove that with a pair of scissors. This is how it was when I opened it. So it has a sheet in here, some brackets, another sheet on the bottom, and there is a seal around this outside edge, and then it comes with a sealing sheet installed here. So there are several different ways that you can use this tray. We're going to do one of the more simpler methods, but I do want to walk you through some of the things that you can do. So first of all, what are all these things? So these sheets are for sealing things off, and these brackets are for molds. I'm not going to do anything with a mold that would need these. What this does is keep certain molds in place. So let's say you were doing something like a shin guard for soccer. There is a mold that you would buy that would go around these brackets, and you would have to print on special film. You would need to remove this and install the film once it's dry to actually press on that. So things like the shin guards, cell phone cases where you want to sublimate all the way down the sides. So think about things with extreme curves, extreme bends that you want to sublimate the full thing. Then you are going to need special film, and you're going to need to modify this tray by taking the seal out. Now it's easy to get out, but I am not going to use the film for any project that I'm going to do. I'm just going to use regular sublimation paper. So I'm going to go ahead and remove these brackets, and it's just a Phillips screwdriver, and we can just remove both of those brackets. So I did want to say that the book that comes with this accessory does have examples of what you would need the film for and what you could just use sublimation paper for. So that's how you're going to kind of know what you need to do here. Now I have those brackets removed, and that leaves a set of holes here on the bottom. You need to seal these up. So there were some sealing sheets that came with this tray, and you just want to cover all of those holes with those sealing sheets. Basically, you don't want the air to escape through those holes as everything is trying to make a vacuum. So now this is ready with this piece installed, with the seal here, with the sealing sheets in place. This is ready for something where you just are sublimating with sublimation paper. Now I like this for things that are not flat. So I'm going to use it for some press-on nails. However, you could use it for things like photo slate, which is not exactly flat because slate is a natural material. You could use it for something like a sublimation plate where you want to get down inside of that plate with your sublimation. You could also use it for other flat things like glass or ceramic ornaments. I'm probably still going to use my heat press for flat things, but this is the way you would use it for items you are going to sublimate with sublimation paper. So you do want to make sure that the seal is installed here and that it's very tight inside, and that this piece, the silicone piece here, is installed well and pressed in all the way around the edges. That ensures that when you have everything in here and you close it, lock down this handle, that is going to ensure that everything stays nice and airtight. So now I have this basically set up to sublimate my nails. This needs to preheat along with the oven. So we're gonna put this piece, just this piece. This stand is only to put this hot thing on when it comes out of the oven. So we are only going to put this piece inside of the oven while it preheats to do the nails. Then while everything is preheating, we can prepare the nails for sublimation, pull this out once everything is hot, and I will show you how to add the piece inside of here to sublimate. So now that we are ready to go with this, I'm gonna go ahead and preheat the oven. So I have my oven plugged up and ready. You don't need to turn on the vacuum itself during the preheat process. Remember, we're just heating everything up. I do want to open this door. I do have that bottom tray still removed. I find that a little bit easier. And then we're going to slide in our tray. Remember, we already have it prepared for the type of sublimation we're going to do. We want to slide it in onto this middle tray so that this piece in the back is going to hit the thing that we installed in the oven to suction and make the vacuum. You're just making sure it's all the way pushed back. We're going to close this. These nails are 293 degrees Fahrenheit for 15 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and press the button to start the preheating process. Again, at this time, we don't need to turn on the vacuum. So I'm just allowing this oven to preheat with the tray inside. So now we're going to prepare the nails themselves. These are made for sublimation. So they are sublimation nails, and they come in strips like this. Now, do I need to sublimate all of these at one time? I do not. I can just remove the ones that I want to sublimate. The other thing you're going to need with these, so these are a very thin plastic, and if you were to just put them in this vacuum tray, just like this, they're going to flatten out with the pressure of the vacuum. So you will need sort of a set of molds that will allow the fingernails to keep their shape. Now, these are reusable, so you can purchase these once and use them again and again. So for these, I'm just going to do, I don't know, a set or so. We're just going to snip off the ones that we need. Of course, they're all different sizes. So now I have several of those. And then I have a sublimation print. So this is sublimation ink printed on sublimation paper with a sublimation printer. And I love small projects like this for scrap pieces. So when I'm making sublimation crafts, I save any small scrap pieces for projects like this. So I'm going to use a scrap piece that I printed, but I do have this file for free, and I will link to it in the description below this video. So for each of these, you're just going to trim a sublimation print to fit. And of course you could locate the design on the nail. I'm just going to do these randomly. And what we want to do, I'm going to start with the largest here. You just want to kind of fit it onto this mold. Add the sublimation print into place. Then just use a piece of tape to secure it down. Might take a couple pieces here. But you just want to secure the nails to this mold all the way down. So each nail, and the mold is tapered, so the smaller ones would of course go towards the ends, where the larger ones would go towards the middle, and this does come in a set of 2. So I'm just going to continue and do each of the nails in the same manner with just a sublimation print and adding that to each nail onto these forms. Okay, these are complete. Everything is on there. You can hear my sublimation oven preheating. Now the tray has to preheat 293 degrees for 15 minutes. The nails only have to process for 6 minutes. So these are gonna be 293 degrees for 6 minutes. You'll also need some butcher paper or protective paper, whatever you use to protect the tray itself. So we're gonna put that on the top and the bottom. And then of course, heat resistant gloves. These are gonna be very important. I am preheating this tray a very long time, and it's going to be scalding hot when I get it out. So you do wanna make sure that you have your heat resistant gloves. Once this is done preheating, I'm gonna turn this off. I adjusted the time back down to 6 minutes, so that's prepared before I open the oven. And now we're ready to add these nails. So we're going to open this and remove this tray. Again, this is going to be extremely hot. That's what this stand is for. Unlock this, lift this up. You're gonna wanna make sure that these sealing cloths are covering the holes. Sheet of protective paper to protect everything. Add the nails, add the sheet of protective paper, close this down. Now the vacuum will make the pressure, so you don't have to do anything else, no shrink wrap or anything like that. And then we're gonna put this back in the oven. Again, make sure it's on the right level so that it hits that hole in the back that you made. Close this, and we're gonna turn the oven on, and then press the start button on the side of the air. Now, this portion of the video is very loud, so this is not quiet. I don't want you to think that this is going to be something that is going to be quiet. It is not a quiet process. So we're gonna let these process for 6 minutes and come back. Once the time goes off, you want to turn this air off first before you open the door. Then I'm gonna go ahead and hit the button so that the beeping stops. And now we can remove the tray and take a look at what happened inside of this oven. So I'm gonna remove this tray, and if you heard that, I actually broke the vacuum seal. So we know that this actually worked and there was a vacuum inside of here. So now we can pull these out. And again, this may be hard to open at this point. We can open this up, and I can remove the nails and start removing the sublimation print. I'm actually gonna flip this over to the back, just using a craft knife to cut and sort of get under these on the back. And then for each one of these, I can peel this back, remove it, and I don't even think they're really hot. And I can take a look at the results I got. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove all of these, and then we'll take a look at the results. When we're chatting results, I had the best results when I made sure that the nails really fit onto this mold. So that meant sometimes putting them in when the mold wasn't completely full, because I didn't have any large ones to do. So just having 2 or 3 on each side often worked best for me. And then using a thin heat resistant tape rather than a wide one, and that way the paper had the flexibility to form around this. And then when you are putting these into the tray, be sure there is plenty of room in between them, because you want to make sure that it's able to wrap all the way around both of them. So be sure to put, a few inches in between them on the tray itself. So those are some tips and tricks for best results. So let's take a look at my nails. So here's a look at some of the results that I was able to get with this. These look really, really good with the tips that I just shared with you. There was like one where the sublimation print looked like it shifted and it had a line where there was no sublimation, but otherwise these look really good. Now the first batch I did without the tips and tricks that I talked about, there were several that had ghosting areas. So if you're having any trouble on these with ghosting, be sure to check out the tips and the tricks that I mentioned. So now you saw my results with those fingernails and how I kind of had to play with my technique a little bit. So bottom line, I think this tray is easy to use for the method I showed you with sublimation paper, and that it might have a slight learning curve. So you might ruin a few pieces before you get it exactly right. You just sort of have to play with how it works best with the tray with whatever you are sublimating on. So I do think that this is a game changer for those of you that want to apply pressure to oddly shaped surfaces in a sublimation oven. Now, would I use this for flat items? I am probably not. So it mentions like ceramic ornaments and things in the book, and I would probably just use my heat press for those. I would probably never use this oven. I am considering giving it a try for slate, so if you would like to see that, drop down in the comment section and let me know. So many of you have issues with slate, and I have done several things where I've showed you different ways to do them to make them turn out correctly, but this might be another option. So if you would like to see that, let me know. And then some of the things that are a bit more complicated where you need a special film, one of the things that I'm interested in with that is possibly the cell phone cases. So let me know if you would be interested in that as well. And we can kind of go over how to sublimate cell phone cases with this, as well as some other methods with a flat heat press and compare them. There's a lot of options when it comes to sublimation, and this is not the only one. So if you're thinking this is a very expensive thing to get, Angie, so I have to purchase this oven, I don't have this one, and then the accessory kit is pretty expensive, it would be an expensive investment. However, if you are looking to sublimate things like the fingernails, things like plates, this may be the only way to do it with success. And quite frankly, so many of you are sick of shrink wrap in the sublimation oven that I thought that this might be a good alternative for some of the items that you might be using shrink wrap on. So hopefully this answers any questions you have about the vacuum accessory for the PYD Life Sublimation Oven. If you have any other questions, want to see more with this, drop down in the comment section and leave me a comment. If you like this video and it helped you, give me a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, head on over to my YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button. I have videos just like this one every single week, and trust me, you don't want to miss any of those. So thank you guys so much for joining me, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.